You are greater. All right, guys, welcome. Feel free to grab a seat. My name is Pastor Josh. I'm glad that you're here. If you guys decide to worship with us, if you're a guest and you want to grab a connection card, that would be great. Can you hand me those announcements back there? Nice. Perfect. Couple of things for us today. One is after church this morning, we're going to be having a baptism. So immediately concluding this service, you are welcome to go over to Big Woods Bible Church. We were going to baptize in the river, but the river is at flood stage, and it did not seem appropriate to do that. So come on over to Big Woods Bible Church for baptism. So we conclude here around, right around 12 or so. We'll try to get over there by 12:15, 12:20, and that would be great. So, also this Wednesday night, there is a night of prayer in the back room for anyone who wants to just kind of come before Jesus and hear from Him. It's a good time. 6:30 Wednesday. There is child care provided on Wednesday night, and we invite you guys to be a part of that. Also, our Flapjack Give Back, our pancake breakfast for the community at Oddfellows is this Saturday, from 7:30 to 9:30 in the morning. Volunteers would be appreciated. Talk to Sarah if that's something you're interested in. If you want to give to the common place, you can do so online or in the box over there, or through the iPad as well. You can give to our church. Also, a last-minute kind of an announcement. There's a lady in our church who needs a ride to a doctor's appointment on Saturday morning. So it's an unusual time. If you are able, especially if you're a woman and you are willing to drive to that appointment, talk to my mom. She's organized it. Williamsport. It's in Williamsport. So if you're able to provide a ride to a doctor's appointment on Saturday morning, talk to my mom. She can make that arrangement there. Over the next few weeks, we're going to have a series of important announcements you don't want to miss about the Common Place. We're going to give an update on our college ministry, what our next steps are there, leadership development and changes, and so we're excited about that. Also, we're going to be presenting to you a new church app that is going to allow us to be better connected as a church body as we grow, and also provide directory services, so that's exciting. And then we're going to be explaining a new missions partnership with some missionaries in the country of Jordan, and how we can be a great partner with them. So these are going to be important announcements coming our way over the next few weeks. Before I preach, I want to also walk us through, for many of you know the ongoing conversation we've been having about where God is calling us to go, who He's calling us to reach, and how He wants us to be a part of that. So we want to be a church that's on mission. It's not content to just sit and receive, but rather we want to be a blessing to Lock Haven. And so for the last year and a half, we've been spending a lot of time listening to what God's saying and trying to discern next steps. Last Wednesday, not this past one, but the one prior, we had a night of corporate strategic planning. Had about 20, 30 people there, and we began to ask and walk through some big questions for our church. What are the places in our community where there's some really felt needs that God might want us to step into? And we wanted to see if there were any patterns, and so it was interesting as we concluded each phase of that, each team would talk about what maybe some ideas that surfaced in their lives, and to ask, see if there's any patterns. And so we kind of developed four main areas. Some big ideas, I'll go back to that other one, Isaac, real quick, is we recognize that we do need to prepare for long-term investment to allow trust to be built and relationships to form. What we mean by that is that we don't want to be a church that just does a one-off event in the community and then pats ourselves on the back, hey, we did this thing and now we've checked that box on our spirituality and we're good to go. We recognize that whatever it is, if we want it to create lasting change, we need to have long obedience in that and to see trust and relationships form. We also want to continue to listen to what God's Spirit says to us. So one of the first things that emerged from our night of strategy was this idea of meeting hunger-based needs. And opportunities for that were presented by a number of people. Some big ideas were, why don't we get a church food truck that we could provide meals in our community? Another idea was, what if we rented a cafeteria for community meals? Or we did food delivery. And these are just options. We're not going to do all of those things. We would quickly be exhausted and do them ineffectively. But what we're inviting you to do is, if you want to be part of the conversation that makes a plan for this area, this kind of tugs at your heart. Maybe God's Spirit right now is kind of putting a burden there. then there are 4 sign-up sheets on the counter by the offering box there. And I would invite you to just jot your name down, and you will be part of the strategic planning for that. When it comes time to actually do the stuff we plan, the whole church will be invited into that. But if you, especially if you've got gifts of strategy, if you are good at coming up with great ideas, if you can kind of pull teams together and you're gifted in that way, we'd love to have you on that team. The next big idea was this idea of, go to the next slide, after school program ideas. We talked about partnering with existing organizations because there are ministries that do this already that need help. It might mean launching a new ministry. It might mean how do we combine what we're doing with food with after-school opportunities. Because a lot of these ideas came out of, the Spirit seemed to indicate children, hungry kids, and in particular the fact that after school and during the summer, there's many of them that don't have access to food. So if this kind of gets you excited and you want to be part of the team that works on that, there's a sign-up sheet for you. College students have always been an important part of our church DNA from the very beginning, 10 years ago. And we want to continue to remember that and to be even more intentional about meeting students. And we recognize that our church, the makeup of our church, does not accurately reflect the diversity of our campus. So how can we better reach diversity? Because I don't think, to be honest with you, from the conversations I have with other pastors in the area, none of our churches are very diverse. And so how can we reach minority and international students? Many of these students, we believe, are actually traveling to Williamsport, going away to church because there's no, they don't feel comfortable here. Feeding hungry students, because so many low-income, there's access for low-income students to go to college now, which is great. There's the hang-up on that is many of them enter college without any kind of a food plan, a meal plan. And so there's hunger needs, legitimate hunger needs around college students. In fact, we're starting, I think, the university is starting a food bank around college students, which is fascinating. How can we strategically engage freshmen, possibly start an on-campus commonplace worship service? So if college students tug at your heart and you want to be a part of that conversation, sign up sheet for that. Finally, we recognize that church planting is in our future. We have in the middle of summer at second service, you might look around and say, do we really need to do that? But if you've been here in the fall when we run 3 services, and many times it's very uncomfortable in here, we recognize that if we're going to have kingdom impact, if more people are going to meet Jesus, we have to put them somewhere, right? And so we've had this conversation for years now. No place has opened up for us to move the shop to. So we began to ask, maybe Jesus wants us to multiply what we're doing here. Keep having church in a coffee shop. It's a beautiful way to do church. But also, what are the other places we can have church that maybe are birthed out of the people God's calling us to reach? And so I'm excited for that as well. What's our prayer strategy, our target community? I want you to know, signing up to be part of this team doesn't mean that you have to go plant the church. It just means that you want to be part of the conversation and strategy around planting another location. So again, if that gets you excited, please put your name down on that. So those are the 4 areas we sense God moving our church in the future. And I want to open the invitation for you to be a part of that. Today, we are moving into week 6, I believe, on our study of who Jesus' friends are. And the idea behind this is, this came out of an elders meeting,